But I'd like to call to order tonight's decision meeting of the Gardner Zoning Board of Appeals. It's Monday, January 31st. It is, we'll call it 6:43 p.m. Before we begin tonight's hearing, I'd like to go over a few of the ground rules by which this board operates. This is a decision meeting, so no further information or documents can be submitted to the case. Unless requested from the board, applicants may be called upon to answer questions from the board, but will not be required to present any further information to the board. In Gardner, 3 members of the Zoning Board of Appeals must be present to conduct the legal hearing. All 3 members of the board must vote in favor for the variance or special permit to be granted and approved. The right to appeal the decision of this board is provided for in the Zoning Act. The information is available in the office of the city clerk. Sitting on tonight's meeting, to my left is Mr. Michael Gary, zoning clerk, and to my right, Mr. Randall Heglin, 3rd member, and myself, Ray LaFond, as chair. This meeting will be taped. Does anyone object to the taping of this meeting? There are no objections. I ask you also to please silence your cell phones. And is anyone going to be recording any information of this meeting? If you do, you must, if you submit any information or some additional information will need to be submitted to the board. No one will be recording. Okay. The first case before the board is Private Oversight Company. It's an application to construct, I'm going to call it 26 multifamily units. It originally said 32, but that's been adjusted. In Gardner, Mass., parcel ID H17-7-1, located in the Commercial 2 zoning district, C2, is denied as it does not comply with Chapter 675, Article 1:1, number 5, multifamily dwelling of the City Code of Gardner. The zoning code states that your request is a not permitted use in the C2 zoning district. Do I hear a motion to move on the application of Private Oversight?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay, discussion. I'll open it up to you, both of you first.
I have nothing. No, other than we've had a number of public hearings. The attorney Tree, the applicant's attorney, represented the application, made some clarifications and revisions as we've gone along, and I think the last revision is what we're acting. The 26 units is made its revision. There was a site visit that was held. That's all.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just say I've given this one a lot of thought. And use variances are really for special situations that have generally no recourse through zoning. Older cities and towns like Gardner had building, no zoning, factories are constructed, businesses were anywhere. And as time goes on, a lot of them become vacant, and now you get to how do you handle them. There's no relief within the ordinance to handle that, generally, unless they go to a use variance. 0 West Broadway is a wooded parcel with no structures. I found it very hard to validate issues of financial hardship, other than, if they went to the planning, it might cost a little more, but in terms of a variance requirements, I found it very hard in my mind to validate financial hardship. We do have issues of, say, shape, topography, etc., but it is a hilly land, but not extremely out of character. This application has an avenue built into the Zoning Act. Section 675-540 is designed specifically to address many issues for smart growth in multiple zoning districts and for planned unit development. Use variances should be issued only on issues that have no avenue of relief. And in this case, it is my opinion that there is an avenue of relief through 675-540 of the Zoning Act. The planning board can issue a special permit addressing zoning, density, parking, etc., under 675-540. So those are my comments that I've looked at this and tried to lay out, what I felt I've seen presented. It is in 540. It's an alternative for land development, and it is a relief, an avenue of relief for that. But I was very strong that use variances should not be given out just, I'm not going to say freely, but with some common approach, because, as I said early on, it's for special cases that have no relief under the zoning ordinance as it currently exists. So those are my comments. Any additional comments?
No.
Randy?
No, I guess, I felt that the attorney made a rational argument that, commercial zone really doesn't fit in character with the rest of the neighborhood, especially on the Templeton side. There is not much residential dwellings on the Gardner side till you get down Deer Hill Road, but I understand your perspective.
Okay. Well, I will say that I think the applicant, through their counsel, Attorney Tree, has actually answered every question that the board had pushed forth. We did do the site visit, as Mr. Hagelin said. And they have provided all the information, and they made a great presentation. But so other than that, I stated my comments and what's happened in my observations, etc. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll move for a vote.
Oh.
Okay, you all set?
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of granting the application for 0 West Broadway to construct the 26 units, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Opposed. Being in opposition, then that denies the application for variance. The applicant has an option to appeal this through the city. They can get the information from the zoning or the city clerk, or they have the option to approach the planning board and request a hearing before them and move forward for a special permit. Okay, then that is that case, and we're going to move on to the next case. Okay, the next case before the board, there's two cases, is Harbor Classic Homes. I'm going to carry both of them as one. Their case numbers 2021-08-03 and 2021-08-04. And the application to construct an access for the proposed open space development, Century Way parcel M37-21-42. That's the Century Way entrance located in the general residential zoning, residential 3 zoning district, GR3. And it did not comply with Chapter 675 attachment 1:1, table use number 10, that's open space residential development. And just bear with me till I get the next code.
Yes, sir.
Get it right there. Thank you. And the next one is the application to construct an access for the proposed open space residential parcel M37-21-42, the Countryway entrance, same thing, located in General Residential 3, GR3, denied as it does not comply with Chapter 675, Attachment 1:1, Table of Uses Number 10, Open Space Residential Development of City Code of Gardner. The zoning code states that your use requested is a not permitted use in the GR3 zoning district. Do I hear a motion to move on both of those applications?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, discussion. I'll allow my two members to pose any questions or comments. Michael, no questions or comments?
I will refrain at this point. I'll refrain on a comment at this point.
Okay.
Ask me again.
Okay. I'll state some of my comments in looking this over. And I just think the board must keep in mind, we're looking at the two roadways, Countryway and Clark Street, not the proposed open space development, the residential project. That is under the jurisdiction of the planning board if we move this forward, and they will control that. The development property that we are looking at, they're both in RR2. The development would be into RR2. Clark Street, Countryway parcels are in residential G3. The open space development is not allowed in G3. Upon our site visit, it was noted that no homes would be developed upon those two parcels. Issuance variances to access rural residential 2 for the potential open space development. The hardship is in that these two parcels restrict access to the RR2 project for residential homes. If the variance is not granted, the applicants have stated, then there's really no access to the RR2 where homes can be developed, which by law is available for development. As I stated, no homes will be developed in the two small parcels. And they stated also that the whole project, if approved, will go to the planning board at that point. End of my comments. Mr. Hagelin, you have comments?
I have a comment. Like the other application, you considered and pondered that for quite a while. I did with this application. And, looking at it's a variance similar to the other one. I don't think there was a demonstrated financial hardship if either of these accesses, one or the other, happens to go through. If you recall at the last meeting, I asked a question about if there was an estimate of the number of homes through a conventional subdivision or versus a open space subdivision, and it was a pretty substantial, significant difference between the two. If the applicant was going for a conventional subdivision, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. I would like to deal with each of these applications separately and individually in the vote.
Okay, you want to vote on them separately?
Yes.
Okay, if I just that sheet you gave me so I can read from them. Okay, then the first one.
Mike, have any comments? Or?
No.
You good?
This is case 2021-08-03. Harbor Classic Homes, 0 Clark Street, Open Space Development, PID, M32-6-10. And this is for the Clark Street application. So any other further comments or discussion on this?
No.
Mike? Okay, then I'll move for a vote on that. All those in favor of granting this application for 0 Clark Street, open space development, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Second one, case 2021-08-04, Harbor Classic Homes, 0 Century Way, parcel ID M37-21-42. It's to construct access to the proposed open space residential development, parcel ID M37-21-42, and this is the Century Way entrance. Okay, so any further discussion?
If I may, the intersection with Century Way that is proposed, that was originally part of the original subdivision when Century Way condos went in, and then there was, remember, there was a condominium development, so I think that configuration of that intersection was planned appropriately for safety primarily. Other than that, there are no other comments.
Okay, Mike, any comment on that?
No, nothing to add.
Okay, I have no further comments. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of granting the variance for the Alcaldel shorten to Century Way access, say aye.
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 All those opposed? No opposition. That variance is passed. Okay, any further business before the board? Rachel, there's any, no letters, nothing? Okay. If no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
6:59.